in order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate.
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? And I, for one, as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough. If he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without that old compromise and sweet talk. Stop sweet talking him. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house. It should catch on fire and burn down.
What's going on, family? How y'all doing out there? It's your host, Jaye David, a.k.a. John Edwards, or whatever else you want to call me. I am here to give you the good news of black empowerment, and tonight I got a few of my friends here with. We got Marlon in the building. Marlon, can you hear us? Are you with us?
I can hear you. I'm with you. Glad to be with you guys, man, amongst some esteemed black kings, ready to chop it up, man, and thank you for having me.
Dope, man. And Kenny, what's good, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. Long weekend. You know how it is.
All right, we got Deshaun. What's good, brother?
I'm in the building once again.
All right, dope.
Proud to be back. Appreciate you.
Dope. So we got a few things we are going to go over today, man. We had a wild week as far as black people goes. So today we're going to talk about some solutions, man, because I think, there's a lot of things happening. And I think because of a lot of things that have occurred, the media is, moving things in all types of different directions. A lot of people are looking for answers. They're looking to figure out where to go from here. It's good. Our people are awake. Our people are most definitely awake. Our people are most definitely, inspired, I would say, to a sense. So we want to keep that energy going. So in tonight's episode, man, we're going to kind of talk about some of the things that kind of led up to, what we've seen in the last week, and also what are some things we are trying to work on in regards to how people should be thinking and how not to allow what's happening kind of deter us, what I would say. So I'm going to kind of just ask the question, man, what do y'all think has been the reason that we've seen this kind of because we've gone through this a lot of times, but what was the thing what do you believe, are some of the reasons why our people are beginning to, I guess, wake up in a sense?
Well, hope y'all don't mind if I go first, but I think it's what you just said. Why did people wake up? Well, because people were awake due to the fact that they weren't in the malaise of going to work, watching the NBA playoffs, watching Major League Baseball, National Hockey League playoffs. Everything is at a standstill. The world was on guard. Everybody was watching, not distracted. And this happened literally in front of everybody. It doesn't always happen in front of everybody. It happens in front of us. Most of us, not even all of quote unquote us, but it happened in front of the entire world when the world was at a standstill due to COVID-19. So you have that. You have people being at home, not working, stressed out, bored, And this really got in front of people, and it was big. It was glaring. It could not be ignored. Yeah. You didn't have to I went to 2 protests. I didn't have the alternative of coming home late from work on the train, or damn, am I going to go to the protest or go to the gym? Mm-hmm. I didn't have that, right? So that's what it was. The distractions were at the lowest that they've ever been, I think, in most people's lifetime.
For a lot of people, yeah, most definitely, I agree with that.
Yeah, I would love to jump in there, man. It's funny because I couldn't agree more with Marlon. A few months ago, for those that know, I am a minister as well, and I was speaking in my church, and one of the things I said a few months at the start of the year, I said, God will sometimes stop the world just to bring liberation to the people that he loves and to get work done for his believers. And then this craziness and this madness started to happen. We look at the pandemic, and I know a lot of people lost their lives, so I don't want this to sound like an insensitive comment, but the pandemic shut everything down to a point where even the allyship that you see being built amongst the white community, a lot of it happened because of us sitting at home. The level of exposure, social media time is at an all-time high. Peak hour, for those that study like social media statistics and things like that, peak hours are usually 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays. It's now 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. What does that mean? That means people's time is being consumed on social media at a higher rate at an earlier time of the day, because so many people are out of work. So many people are not traveling on the train. So many people are not essential workers or lost their jobs. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't just for us to see. That was for white people to see. That was for white people to see what we've known for decades, for centuries, what we've experienced for centuries, right? So then now what happens is they're so like surprised by it that like what starts to happen is now black people who were asleep are seeing that white people are starting to care about stuff that belongs to us. Like, oh, we have a partner. I'm not exhausted anymore. And I don't have teacher anymore about black things, about black matters, about things going on in our communities. I now have an ally that can tell their white people, their white friends, and their white family what I am tired of trying to teach through social media. You know what I'm saying? So that allyship also plays a part. But to Marlon's point, that doesn't happen without the whole world being shut down and having no choice but to sit and look at that injustice through their social media feed.
I wonder how we can dig a little deeper. It is a little strange to me that something that's happened so many times already and very recently, and now all of a sudden we're literally watching people wake up, and it's actually a little weird. Now, other than the fact that, so many people are at home, whether they're working or not, people have time today. What else is it that is literally making people see this one particular incident when we've had 2 others in the weeks before and a number of others? What about this one
tipping point
is making people like honestly wake up? I've seen a lot of speeches and posts from people who aren't racist but are ignorant to white privilege just because it's not a prism they've ever been able to look from, just because of their station in life and being white and all that other stuff. But I do find it very unusual that it's to the point where Roger Goodell of the NFL is looking at Colin Kaepernick differently and what he's been doing along with other players in terms of kneeling for this particular reason. It's like, why now? Like, what about this is now making you go, oh, damn?
To respond to that part, I think what's happening and what we're seeing, like, because I've never had white people be so nice to me in the last week than just random. Like, I had a random white person apologize to me this week, yesterday actually, just literally apologized to me, like, everything is bad. And like, I said, your apology isn't necessary. Like, I don't need your apology. If you want to do anything, you need to go to your lawmakers and you need to anytime something like this happens, it needs to be serious, harsh punishment, jail time, prison time, because the only way it's going to stop is if they get punished. Consequences. Me in the mainstream media, I don't trust the mainstream media, especially when it comes to black people. I feel there's a lot of people that are put in positions, black and white, in the mainstream media who are put there to make sure black people are confused, disoriented, not staying on topic, not staying focused on what exactly we are demanding. Even in regards to the allyship that you're talking about, Deshaun, I have to tread very lightly in regards to that because of the fact that anytime like black people are trying to do something to empower themselves, I believe that black people should learn to exclusively demand these things on their own. Not saying white people cannot help, not saying white people cannot work with, but there needs to be a kind of a separation there in regards to that, because what happens is when you don't have exclusivity when it comes to your demands and your protests, what happens is sometimes the message or what's trying to happen, for example, good example with the protests, right? A lot of other groups and a lot of other people were coming into the fold out there doing a lot of different things, looking for, maybe some people were looking for some camera time. Maybe some people were looking there trying to push their own agenda. And it diluted a lot of what was trying to be attacked in that very moment. And then you have all these different voices from all these different groups and subgroups when it's about black people and police brutality. It's okay to have allies. It's okay for white people to advocate. I personally believe the best way that white people can advocate is go to the people that are in power and demand that if things don't change, they're going to be either taken out of office, they're going to be losing their position, or by force or by choice. But there's going to be punishment that's going to occur on their side when it comes to this stuff. So I guess y'all can speak to that real quick if y'all want. But like the idea that
For sure.
that the message being diluted by black people not learning to basically stand up by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because I think go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't disagree with you, bro. Actually, I agree a lot of what you're saying. I agree a lot with a lot of what you're saying. I think my point is that there is a certain level of exhaustion that comes with not only not being the person that caused your oppression, but then having to be the ones that get yourselves out of the effects of that oppression, and then having to educate those who live so far, whether that be because of like class in their status economically or where their neighborhoods are, things like that. But people who are so detached and far removed from that experience that we experience. So now we become educators to them about how their silence is also compliance with racism, right? Like there's a lot of hats black people have to wear. So when I think we should tread lightly, but I think as long as the message is still clear, when they are rallying with us, like I was at a rally today and we were protesting and the guy got the mic and he said, all the black people come to the front. He said, if these white people who are here are really our allies, they will understand why we need to celebrate or why we need to fight for our own position in this struggle. And all the black people, we not violently, but we made our way around all of the white people down in front of us, and we circled around the front. And the white people who had to stay there, but they committed to being present, but this was not their fight in the forefront. So I think there has to still be some level of partnership to where, to your point, we do need them to go up in places where our voices are not quite as respected yet, or our voices are not quite as heard or as clear or as influential just yet for those things. But when they are present for the stuff we're fighting for, we got to keep the motive the same. We want to defund police. We want to restructure how black and brown people are policed in inner city and urban communities. We want to restructure accountability for police officers when they commit blatant crimes and there's strong evidence against them. Like those messages, we want to continue to support black businesses and develop group economics. As long as we're still pushing that message, I think the allyship is fine. We just got to be clear about making sure they know, like, hey, we're going to want to support our businesses. If I want to choose Burger King instead of McDonald's when I'm driving down the road, that's a choice I have. The same way, if I want to choose this black man soul food over this spot that you got food at, that's a choice that I have too. And if they get that, then I see no problem with the allyship. You know what I'm saying? Our message just has to stay the same.
So, as far as allies are concerned, so number one, there is no progress for us in this country without it. So let me preface what I'm saying by saying that. However, I really can't trust someone's allegiance unless they have some kind of skin in the game as well. So for all of us, you know, when we shout and we fight and all these different things, we're putting something on the line, meaning that we know that my well-being's on the line. A lot of times our lives are on the line, but something that we need or something that we depend on is on the line, and we're willing to put it on the line because our status quo does not equal progress. It doesn't. So for those who claim to have some kind of allegiance, it's hard for me to trust it if it's kind of just convenient for you now because you're not at work, or it's convenient for you now because it showed up on the social media platform that you frequent. So until I see that you have something at risk, something heavy, as much as I have at risk for fighting, it's really hard to call it an allegiance as opposed to just some temporary assistance. And temporary assistance isn't anything that we can count on.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that to 100%.
I respect that.
So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we will be back.
Never let the man that you're against form your opinions. This is the trick that's played on everyone who's oppressed. The first thing, an occupation, when you have a revolution in the country, the first thing you take over is the radio. And then you start telling the people, that everybody, the war is over. And so all of them surrender. No, they believe that thing right there. And once they take that over, they start telling you where you are and where they are, and you fall right in line. It's plain thought control. The majority of the American people aren't segregationists. That the majority of the American people aren't imperialists. But the government is, the structure is, the power faction is. So, how then do all the majority go along with it? Because those who sit in power over the television, over the radio, and over the press is constantly telling those who are the masses how free they are, and how this they are, and how that they are. So a mistake is made on your part when you think that white people suffer the same as black people. Or as many Jews will say, well, we're a minority too. Or the Irish will say, well, we used to be a minority. No one's a minority like we are. They didn't need civil rights legislation to solve any other minority problem. It didn't take a civil war to solve any other minority problem. It didn't take Supreme Court decisions to solve any other minority problem or legislation. It takes none of that action to solve the minority problems of these other people. The only real minority in America is the Afro-American. Now, when white people, who are oppressed and poor, supposedly, but the poorest white person can go where the richest black person can't go. It isn't only poverty in money that we're talking about. Poverty in spirit, poverty in freedom, poverty in equality, poverty in human dignity. This is the kind of poverty we're suffering from. So that the richest Negro in this country is still poor. When it comes to freedom, he's broke. When it comes to human dignity, he's broke. This is the kind of poverty we're talking about. So when you find white people who are poor, with all these doors that there are open to them, any door that you knock on, if you're qualified, it'll open. So when you find a poor white person, he's in bad shape. He didn't.
Hey, what's going on, family? We are back. Make sure y'all follow the IG page, Cavalier Convos. Make sure you give us a follow. Listen to all the episodes that were prior to this as well, because, there's a lot of good stuff on there, and we'd love to hear your feedback. So moving forward, man, I wanted to talk about, because, we played the Malcolm X quote earlier, and I believe that for our people, most definitely, we have a lot of voices that are, flooding the zone right now. I believe, mainstream media is trying to divert the attention from what's happening and making it about something else. But the leadership regards to our quote-unquote black leadership. And for a lot of us, is it mainly entertainers? Entertainers, rappers. We got a few black politicians, but a lot of them talk in circles. So we don't have a lot of people actually telling us, or telling the people, what do we need to be doing as a people to change things? I think, we often get on the treadmill, especially we have this energy, we're inspired to do things and see things change. But now it's all right, what do we do with that energy? I have different opinions and different thoughts on that. But I think the first thing I'm going to say, like, black people really need to get used to not making everyone feel comfortable with what we want out of this country, out of the society, out of our government, out of our politicians, and demanding things specifically and only for us. So I would like y'all to speak on that part, because I think that's one of the more important things, because I think black people, we're often used as a sacrificial lamb for society. We are often brought out and presented to basically empower every other group and work against our own interests. But when it gets time for us to get something done, everybody forgets, those black people over there, it's real sad what's happening to them. So can y'all speak on that? Can y'all speak on that for me?
So,
yeah, I think, if I don't mind me jumping in, I think that it's important that we not lose focus on the mission. I think that, first of all, to your point, Jay, we don't have many black leaders right now, or black leaders that are speaking the language that we should be speaking, right? Right now, we're in a space where this emotionalism is driving the movement, but eventually that fire is going to
it's going to fade, yeah.
And when that fire simmers down, there needs to be one voice about an agenda that we desire as a community, as a people, as a race. And honestly, I don't know who that is that's going to be the person or the sect of people to step up. At the end of the day, it starts with, and I know we hear this term often, but it starts with group economics. And I don't just mean that as a generalization. I mean like an aggressive plan of like, these are the people that we know specialize in tech, app development, website development. These are the people who have the best restaurants in the town in like a central place, not just food and clothes, banking, accounting firms and things like that. Lawyers that will support us. That's part of Black economics. It's literally finding economic groups that have high quality service that we can trust. We got to get power. From there, I know we all have our different views on voting and things like that, but I think when there's money in our pockets, a lot of times when we think voting, we think just president. And there's actually people whose ears we would have when we have a little more financial standing in our own communities.
That's why the Jews, Deshaun, though.
Congressmen, our assemblymen and assemblywomen. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things are important. And, like, those are the things that's going to change the community. Presidents, Trump, or whoever is next, Biden, they're not going to come into our community and change it. But we might get the ear of the next councilwoman or councilman. We can vote in certain district attorneys and things like that. That's going to put the right people in jail and the right people not going to jail, like things like that. Those are important things that we overlook when it comes to like the voting and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm talking long, but like that's a start. You know what I'm saying? As far as planning and stuff like that.
Marlon. So like, what is your thoughts on that? Because like, well, I lived in New York. Deshaun and Marlon, y'all live in New York, and y'all see how the Jews move, and they have like in Brooklyn, like nobody messes with them. Nobody does nothing to them. They actually run the cops out their neighborhoods. Why? Because they have an economic base. So, like, kind of talk about that, bro, and kind of give me your thoughts and idea on that.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun touched on it. It's really just kind of piggybacking off what he said is the group economics and keeping the money in our community, for a longer period of time. I read something earlier where it said what Jews call black people, they call them liquid money or something like that. Yeah. Like, because liquid cash, because we just spend it. You know what I'm saying? Like on a whim. Now it's time to identify, right? I think that we have to start identifying. Now, you guys said about, the whole emotional, momentum that we have right now. And I'm starting to see more people post things and share knowledge. And I think that is the major part. The next step is knowledge. Okay, cool. We mad. We are angry. We are hurt, right? Boom. We're making our voices heard. Okay, we're mobilizing ourselves. Boom, that's great. That is great. It's all about steps. Okay, now do not drop the rope. All right, what's the next step? Okay, we need to learn. Okay, cool. This person that has a black-owned business does this. and I can start putting my money into this and stop giving it to this person who is not in my community, or this person who does not have my best interest at heart. Stop giving your dollars to those people and start building up our own people, where we can therefore start building up our own communities. I just saw Yardies in Elmont. Yardies is now opening a convenience store. They had a restaurant. They have a restaurant. And now they're opening a convenience store. This is what you would start to see if you start frequenting that Black-owned grocery store. So that one
skip
store
the
they have,
bodega.
before you know it, it's 2 and 3, and it changes the block. It's cliche, and it goes around a lot. Buy back the block. That is a way how you do it. It's not just, getting money and, we're going to buy this house, we're going to buy this building. It don't got to be like that. No. It doesn't have to be so drastic. It could be really organic and gradual. But it starts with keeping the dollar in the businesses that are Black owned in your community. And so for me, the next step from the emotion is to acquire knowledge. And when you get that knowledge, you do the right thing with it. To me, that's the next step after the emotion.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Marlon. Because I was at a protest. I think it was 2 days in Charlotte, right? And the dudes that were doing it, they said they've been out there 8 days straight. I was like, that's what's up. Because I can't tell people, there's certain things I have, for Black empowerment, because this is everybody who knows me, and let me just tell this to all the listeners. If you're not about Black empowerment, I'm not the person you really want to hang around, because I'll just literally once you start talking that, weird stuff about, all this, basically, these white talking points, for, that Black people need to do this in order to, assimilate. I ain't trying to hear that. But I will say this, the brothers that were doing the protests, right? They were going around the city of Charlotte. And when you said in regards to knowledge, energy, right? Brothers is out there, they got the energy, they out there, they want to make their voices heard. But then the brother got on the mic, one of the brothers got on the mic and said, he was talking, he was going in, obviously passionate. Then he said, this is what this country was founded on. People going out and fighting for their freedom. And I'm like, brother, we were slaves when this country was founded. We were considered 3/5 of a human being. The knowledge factor, a lot of people got energy. A lot of people want to do the right thing because, once again, also, what is everybody running around shouting, after this? Go vote, go vote, go vote. Hold on, right? Some of the worst states and cities with police brutality are in Democratic-ran districts, states, cities, county. All the Democrats run the ones where because we're a majority of the vote that's in those areas. So we vote the Democrats in, right? Not to say, and I'm not saying we're voting Republican. I didn't say that. So before everybody starts running around. What I'm saying is that it's not just about going to vote, because the people who are the lawmakers, the knowledge base of why you're voting, what are you voting for? Are you demanding something in regards to getting something out of your vote? Anybody, Kenny, go ahead and kind of give me your ideas, man.
So a big reason why dollar doesn't stay in our community is because we don't necessarily have a good product to keep that dollar here. So a lot of times when people are talking about buy black, buy black, buy black, more than half the time that product or that service that you're going to buy from a Black person is honestly inferior, just because they're not taught to compete against everybody. They're only taught to compete against Black people. So for these people who are starting to rely on the Black dollar, will give you a product that could be subpar or par and that be it, just because you're Black. And that's a standard that has to be changed. So number one, if you want to keep the Black dollar, then you need to have a product or a service that would rival anybody's, not just other Black people's. Otherwise, we may be circulating money in our community, but the people that are actually spending it are losing money. And you can't have that feeling for very long and keep the same confidence that you have being a consumer for somebody else. So these little blackout days and stuff that they're talking about, come on. We're going to pick a day.
Symbolic gestures.
We're going to pick a day to say that we're not going to put our money in certain places, and then we're going to put it somewhere else because it benefits Black people, and we're going to do it once. How about let's do this? if we're going to talk about buy black, let's first put our money into the education that our people need in order to present a product or a service that is superior to everyone
Also,
else's.
how about this, right? Because, right, the difficulty that we also have in regards to the buying black is people don't know where to get these black goods, to get these black services. And why is that? Because of the fact that we don't have any media. We don't have an economic base. So yes, I think, the economics, Deshaun, is correct. I think that is the most important thing. It's more important than voting. Voting to me is just a formality. You know what I mean? Nothing really moves in politics unless you got money. How do you think these corporations got $1 trillion bailout? $10 trillion bailouts. Because they got money. They put the money, feed the politicians money, right? So I believe the businesses, and yes, the standard, and also we got to also make sure that we don't associate black business with less than or subpar, because there are a lot of black businesses doing good things. Because we got niggonomics going on. We got niggonomics going on for sure. There's people doing janky work. But there's people doing janky work in all races. You know what I mean? But the ones that are doing the right thing, we should most definitely spend our time and spend our energy and spend our money promoting those businesses. But it's also like we don't have any outlets to get those information. Like We Buy Black. They do a good job as far as promoting that stuff. But we need more. Like they can't be the only one, promoting a lot. Because there's a lot of black businesses in like your town or city that you don't know about that don't get on We Buy Black. So it's about the energy, right? The knowledge base. Then once we got the knowledge, we're organizing, we're mobilizing with a purpose, right? Because even if we get together and we start saying voting, but if we're not going to vote as a block and to make demands, things like that, what do we really get? What are we really, doing? You know what I mean? So a lot of people are saying things, and I think a lot of things when it comes to black people is that we got too many people who talk, who shouldn't be talking.
Facts.
You got dudes,
Yeah,
rappers talking. What?
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously,
But I also want to speak to one of the points you made, because we got as you quoted it, niggonomics, but I think that the black community, if we have an experience with a bad doctor, a bad nail tech, a bad car dealership, we just go to the next one. We don't worry about the race of the person. We just go to the next one. But when it comes to like black restaurants or black web designers or web developers or black, it's like one thing goes wrong and one thing goes right. See, that's why I don't go black. And it's we're so forgiving with every other race.
Chinese people.
If a Chinese nail tech messes up my wife's nails, and she goes to another nail tech, or if the Chinese food, we don't like the way they made a mistake and put shrimp when I ordered chicken fried rice, we go to the next Chinese one.
We go back to the same one.
We don't like it, or this corner store, we don't like it. We go to the next one, and even if it's ran by a person of the same subset of culture or the same race, we just support it. When it comes to our business, all black restaurants are the same. All black clothing business are the same. And it's just not true. And we got to reverse that narrative. It's so untrue. And we have to move further from it so that people can trust that their dollar is going into quality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You know how that gets messed
their
up,
dollar is going, and I agree with you, Kay, that yes, we have to provide a product that competes not with just our people, but competes with the market.
Yes.
The market.
Yes,
exactly.
We do need to do that. But we also, as the consumers, need to be forgiving with people of our race.
Facts.
And go to the next person.
What I was saying is, because I agree with what you're saying. I know, Kenny, you wanted to say something. Go ahead, bro.
So you're absolutely correct. Like, that's a really good point, that we are less of our own people. But there's a reason why, though. Because we often...
Talk to me, baby. I need to know.
we get burned by our people so much. And that's just because we're so behind in so many different things. When a black person has a good idea, they want to get that idea moving so quickly that it ends up being sort of half-cocked. And now you're kind of as you're running this business, you're working from a deficit from jump, because because of where we are, you feel like you've got to go ahead and get this out instead of being more prepared. And one of y'all made a really good point about the successful black businesses, the ones who are doing it right, and they have a product that cannot be rivaled by anyone's, right? But those are the same companies that need to take a step back and show others how to do it. So when it comes to training employees, don't just train the employee to do this job. Train this employee on how this business is successful and because of them in terms of their job while they're there. I don't think that we empower each other enough prior to presenting a final product. We just expect that because we're black and that black people are spending the money and that they want to spend it with black people, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to get this money anyway. Like, I'm going to get this money anyway. But how do we keep it? So we can have a blackout day and where people spending all their money on black people, but what are you going to do the next day?
Are you going to go back to,
You know what I mean? Like, especially if 75% of those products that you're putting your money into end up being like a temporary buy because it just wasn't as good as the thing that you bought before from somebody else, regardless of what race they are. So I don't have an answer for how we really go back and start to, I mean, even when it comes to kids, start to teach people really what kind of standards you should set for yourself. I don't necessarily have an answer.
I got an idea.
Okay, let's
I got an idea.
I really don't know how we do that.
I got an idea. First of all, right, our black people need a code of ethics, right? A way we operate with each other. Every community, because they have a cultural history from where they come from, right? You know, Indian people, Arab people, you know, Asians, you know, Anglo-Saxons, Europe, you know, different places. They have a code of conduct, right, when dealing with each other. Black people need to have a certain code of conduct when dealing with each other, right? So we have to start, like, really thinking about that. You know, when I see another black person, there's a certain way I should approach them in regards to, you know, just the way we interact with each other. And anybody who operates or conducts themselves opposite of that code of ethics should be ostracized and what's the word for kicking people out? You know, exiled from the community. Yes, there should be a punishment. The problem is, and the same reason why cops can kill black people and nothing happens, right? Or the cycle continues. The same reason why we have a bunch of sellouts and coons and bucks, you know, in high places in politics and entertainment is because there's a reward for selling out black people. Yes, quote unquote success. There is a reward for selling out black people. So they pay. Marlon, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Voices in mainstream media, and I really I despise a lot of these people because of just the fact of how much they try to divert and mislead black people consistently. That is another thing in regards to like. We need to basically a brainwashing in our community of everything that we assume to think about living in America and being black in America and what Van Jones and Don Lemon and Barack Obama, yes, I said it, and you know the Jay-Z's and the Diddy's of the world and all these different people that we've esteemed, Oprah's, right, that we've esteemed to be leaders, we don't question what they're telling us ever if that is the best way and the best way for black people to move, because at the same time, like, yeah, you know, they've been successful in not taking away from anything that they've done, but they also are hired by a lot of the people, or they're being rewarded by a lot of the people who are responsible for the position we are as a people. So how can they really empower us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just want to interject real quick based on what you're saying. Yeah, that's correct. And that is a way that the white man is able to weaken our community. You take one person, you exalt them, one person from the community, you exalt them, you put them in a position of power so they think they're grossly successful, they're grossly paid and, you know, happy. You make them nice and fat, real Hansel and Gretel vibes, right? Mm-hmm. And with that power that you give them, you're able to manipulate them and manipulate the message that they then come back and give to the community. So they're diseased now. They're diseased. Now, to a point that you made about the Arabs or whatever the case may be, our message is so diluted and so mixed and just so unfocused because we are disconnected from our foundation of who we are. Yep. Right? Absolutely. So the Asians come to America, or the Chinese. Let me not be so broad. The Chinese come to America. They're coming from China with a code of ethics. With the second largest economy in the world too. With the second largest economy in the world as well. Think about that too. Yes. Right. So they come here with a guidebook. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the Indians, they do the same thing. They come with a guidebook. How many 7-Elevens, Subways, Eat Fresh do you see these Indians franchising or becoming a part of the franchise and running? So to me, right, our grouping is so large and our message is so mixed, okay, that we need to get a small group. It has to start off small.
Yeah,
We need an example, even if it's 4 black men in a community, right? We need an example of 4 black men who start from being regular schmoes, right? Regular Joes. And they conduct themselves with a code of ethics. They build and they grow, economically, right? And they set an example for others to follow. And that 4 can become 8, and then 12, and then 16, and then it can grow that way, right? It's not going to be a celebrity. It can't be a celebrity.
It can't be.
Because people will not believe it. People won't believe in it. It has to be someone who you can say, "Oh shit, I used to know that kid. I used to know Jay Edwards or Jay David. I used to know Kenny. I used to know Deshaun. I used to know Marlon. And this is what they did." And you pass it along, and it grows, and it germinates, and it snowballs. We need to try to centralize our message, code of ethics, and focus. And it's going to be extremely difficult because, like you said, there's too many people. There's too many chefs in the kitchen when it comes to our culture.
Yeah. The fact
but this is years and this is centuries of undoing.
Yeah, because they've worked hard.
So
they worked hard white supremacists worked really hard at this, yo. Over the course of centuries, you know what I mean, to put certain things in place and to disguise certain things and to push certain people in our community or people who look like us as a buffer to make sure that we continue to keep that status quo. So my thing is like, all right, what is the message? And I was like, yo, what the hell is the message? The whole time I'm like watching everything that's happening and I'm going back, different things that I've studied over the course of probably the last, I'm 31 now, last at least 10 years of my life, you know what I mean, in regards to black history and different leaders and things like that. And what is the message? The message is black empowerment. People, like to use like these different terms like, people of color, minority coalition, black and brown alliances and intersectionality and civil rights and social justice and equality. And that is not the answer to our problem. Our problem or our answer is black empowerment. Because what is black empowerment? Everything that we just talked. Black empowerment is literally like, black people on a level playing field, functioning at our highest capacity as a community. Group economic, understanding, being educated politically, having men in the community that show that example, respect for our women, respect for our children, respect for our elderly, functioning communities, right? Like, Yardies, like you were saying, Marlon, like, shoot, they got a convenience store now. Like that's, to me, like I said, that's equality. Not equality is not like, like I said before, like in another episode, I said, equality is not black people going to work for IBM and Chase and Citibank and, holding, CFO positions and all this type of stuff. Being the first black whatever at Tesla. That ain't equality. Equality is we got our own Tesla. We got our own Staples. We got our own corporations. We got our own factories. That's equality. I guess y'all can kind of go and piggyback off of that, but that's like, if we have a leader, right? If we have one leader, all they're going to do is kill him.
Correct.
Yo, real talk, based on what you just said, though, that's another way to just, get somebody off the beaten path. Like you just said, like the CFO, becoming a CFO of Tesla. Bro, you make me, Marlon, the CFO of Tesla today, right? I'm just being transparent with you. I'm going to be super transparent with you right now. And I'm not alone with this. You make me a CFO of Tesla. Black empowerment, what? I'm getting to that check. I'm at work. Jay, Jay, I cannot do your podcast. Don't call me. I'm busy. I'm chasing these M's. And that's another way how they take it. So, Jay, so we build this, right? You start getting powerful, and we're getting this message together, and here they come with a big-ass check
to buy you out of something or to give you something else to throw you. This is what happens.
This is what happens, yeah.
This is what happens, bro. This is what happens every single time. And there's a video that I saw on social media, and it was a table of white people talking about, you give a black person something, you let them become one of us, and they forget the message. They forget. They lose focus. They forget what they were fighting for to begin with, and that's true. That's what happens. Money really messes a lot of this up. Success, quote unquote success, messes a lot of this up, because are you going to sacrifice your personal success for the greater good of your race? How many, out of 10 black people, how many of them going to do that?
Who's going to do that?
Yeah, because it's been proven. I mean, like Malcolm, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X didn't die. His family wasn't well off when Marcus Garvey.
Nothing, bro.
Marcus Garvey had nothing.
They lost the crib. Everything.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey had nothing.
They took the crib.
The Nation of Islam took the crib.
Wow.
I ain't even gonna get into that, but his own people.
But we ain't gonna get into that. But yeah.
Wow.
I ain't gonna get into that because I'm pretty sure we got listeners from there.
They was
another podcast.
embezzling the funds. They was making money handle. They was living. See again, and that's what they did. Just case in point, right there. Nation of Islam at the top, right? The dudes at the top. I ain't trying to name names, but they had the funds, and they was getting the funds from the white man. White man knew what he was doing. I can control you now because I'm giving you this here money. You making this money, I know I can control you now. Tax breaks, whatever have you. I know I can manipulate you now. So yeah, I need you to muzzle that boy he's galvanizing the troops a bit too much. I need you to do something with him, and they did it.
So I want to actually jump in because I think it's that divisiveness, that division that makes it so much more difficult. I think you were mentioning earlier, Marlon, other races and other cultures coming into our land, and then having a plan, having a guide. And now you see multiple chains of subways and this owned by them, right? I want to share a story that, honestly, now as a grown man, and I think back on it, it really, broke my heart. And to this day, I'm kind of, troubled by it. But I remember I think I was about 22. So you're talking, 9 years ago, right? And one of my former mentors, he owned a few chains. He owned 2 McDonald's. He owned a couple Subways. I'd say about 3 Subways. He was pulling in about after all expenses and everything, he said he was pulling in about 400,000, right, a piece from each of these chains on a monthly basis. And when he shared that to me, we were sitting over dinner, bro. We were sitting over dinner and we were talking, and I couldn't move past that. He was trying to talk spirituality and faith, and I'm like, well, hold on, can we go back to that? So I'm trying to go back to that.
Get back to these racks.
The Bible, the faith. I feel secure that okay, I know what I believe. Let's go back to this though. Mm-hmm. And he gave me these vague, almost like he didn't want me to understand how he made that happen. And then even months after that, weeks after that, I reached out hey, I just want some information. Can you come teach a class at my church? Can you? Yeah. To this day, I'm still crushed because it's I felt like I had somebody very important in my presence and that could share his knowledge, but he wouldn't share it. I don't know if he was fearful. I don't know. Right. I don't know if he was fearful that of me amassing this knowledge and being able to do what he did. But that has to
that's got to change.
The irony of this discussion.
That's that code of conduct.
Economic empowerment is at the top of the list of what needs to be done for us and with us as a community, or it's at least top 2, top 3. Yet the amount of money that a person can amass individually can literally break down that whole premise. So it's ironic that we need this empowerment economic.
Deshaun.
Breaking, bro. Yeah.
Phones were breaking a little bit.
Go crazy.
Yeah, the phone was breaking a little bit. I think the energy was pulsing through the.
You good. So, that's a great example, man, of exactly what we're talking about. I was just having a conversation with a roommate and teammate, and he was talking about he just bought a home, and he's leaving his condo in Queens and he's going into Long Island, and he was just like, yo, man, he was like, I'm buying this home, but I don't want to be on this block by myself, because we was talking about the whole Merrick Long Island controversy with the racist, comments that they made. And he said that we don't have to have this. He said we can move into towns. Everyone's talking about, we don't need to be in Long Island
not everyone, but some people are saying we don't need to be in Long Island, we don't need to be here and there. We should be with each other, with our own kind, so we don't have to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that don't mean we have to be centralized anywhere. We're free. So, bro, if I'm buying a crib in Huntington, right, I plan to buy one in 3 years. I'm saying, yo, Jay David, if Jay still lives here, Deshaun, I'm planning to go and move to this hamlet of Hempstead, of the town of Hempstead. This is the taxes. This is what the market looks like over there. Would you be interested in living in this area? But we don't do that.
No, we don't do that.
We don't do that. We don't. What we do is we plan in secret, so that we could style on our brother.
Yeah, man.
Y'all bought this crib, and then we lie, and then we don't tell our brother about the grant or the first time home buyer's loan or tax break or whatever it is that we got to make it happen. We front on our interest rate. We lie about that too, right?
Man.
So that the next dude can't get the house on the block that may have 10 more square feet yard space that you couldn't get.
You know why we do
Kenny,
that though?
It's so stupid.
Go ahead, Kenny. What you saying?
You know why we do that though? We do that because we're afraid that the next person is going to fuck it up, and that now we can't do that shit no more. That's really the reason why we do that. So, perfect example. I started real estate investing at the end of 2018, right? And I took a certain path to do it that involved heavy education. So I'm not just out here trying to do it the way that a lot of other people do it, where they're trying to learn from people. It essentially takes you a long time to actually really learn it and get good at it. Otherwise, you're just following instructions for the most part. And when me and my partner, when we started, we didn't say anything to anybody. We didn't tell anybody we was investing. We kind of kept it under wraps because we were trying to figure it out, see really how good the opportunity was. But once we started learning, and once we kind of really started to see the way in terms of investing, not only were we trying to get other black people to invest, but we were trying to get other black people to invest in their education about it first and not go about it the way that many other people go about it. It's like, if you're going to do it, here's the best way to do it so that when you are in front of these other people, when you just started, you still sound like a savant. But here's what I would call like my solution to how we're so separated and just disunified. What if in one community, regardless of the size, but what if in one community, we took a small group of very educated and successful people, injected them into this community to show people specifically how to run these businesses, how to run them correctly, and how to compete. But then also get the community to rally behind these businesses because they're providing services that they need, and say, okay, we always talk about buying black, but here's what we're going to do for y'all. We're going to make sure that the dollars that you're putting towards black businesses are well spent by making sure that these businesses are starting correctly and they're doing a number of other things that would make you actually feel more comfortable about spending money. So what if we did this in a small community and made everything very inclusive and exclusive as far as the community is concerned? And just watch how that money circles around the community, and also watch and see what happens as far as those businesses, considering they may be only advertising to a small group of people because we're talking about just a community. But you can see, without having to market to a broad base, that you could focus on this community, the community that you're in, and be successful. And then the business next to you can do the same thing. And for all these people who are spending money in this community, they can show other communities that, look, this works if we make sure that we make that our money is a safe bet on this business and this business and this business and this business and this business. Starting small. One of y'all said that. Essential businesses. But no, I think that's a good point because there has to be a model. Exactly. Right? Like there has to be a model somewhere of like, all right, like this is what this looks like. This is what black empowerment looks like as far as a community goes. Do we got a grocery store? Do we got a hospital? Do we got a bank? Because that's a big thing because black people struggle with what a lot of times? Access to capital, right? You freaking, like with the Indians and Arabs, they could come here.
They get loans for 10 gas stations the minute they drop, to get off the airplane, get dropped off from the airport, right? They're able to do that because they have, access to capital. They have credit lines in the countries they come from.
But check this out. How many times have you actually looked for a specific, you look in the industry and then try to find a black-owned business in that industry? And oftentimes you do not find one, not one. And you have no choice but to spend your money with someone who's not black. So what?
But that's when it comes down to like, it's a lot of things because like that's when it comes to like, we don't have any media outlets. BET is not a black. Everybody, warning, 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 alert, alert.
It is not black.
BET is not a black-owned media company. And then you got Essence and Jet and Ebony who have basically turned into a gossip, site. So, gossip platform.
You realize Essence just went black-owned again recently?
I mean, are they gonna?
But think about that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, but a lot of black people don't know that
black-owned again.
Because like when black people need to mobilize, when black people need to get together and do something, when black people need to find other black businesses or direct their attention or their energy towards something to push an agenda, we have no way of getting that information out. None, zero, zilch, nothing. Right? So like
Urban One.
I mean, is that don't they play music videos?
I say, what is that?
Urban One, maybe the one.
But
why is it called Urban One?
But like I ain't like
they just play old syndicated black.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Entertainment. Besides entertainment,
I say that because they have a conglomeration of radio stations and things like that. So it's more like Urban One is the whole conglomerate and all the like other avenues of media they have.
Entertainment. It's all entertainment. Yeah, it's all entertainment based, not information based. Things like that. You got and then if we do need information, we got clowns. Roland Martin, clown. Don Lemon, clown. Van Jones, clown. He's kind of he's all right sometimes. Charlemagne, jokes, nothing but jokes. So like nothing is ever serious with our people. That's another problem because we're relying to get our news from actors and comedians. Literally, actors and comedians are giving us news. Like when we need to talk about politics, actors and comedians. Jackie Chan. Imagine if Jackie Chan, right, hosted a news like segment for Asian Americans, or Jet Li. Think about that. Or what's the other guy? I forgot the Indian dude, the comedian. Imagine if he ran like a, where he had presidential candidates come on and talked about an Indian American agenda. Think about that. Not even white comedians do that, right? So like, I tell people to stop. Like, stop listening to these people. They're not here to help you empower yourself. They're here for jokes, laughs, and that's where you need to keep them, for entertainment. But we're the only people that seem to hold these people seem to hold political weight, and they're the least educated and they're the least capable of helping us move forward. Because, like I said before, man, I said this before to I forgot what episode it was, but I said it in regards to how did slaves get rewarded how did black people get rewarded during slavery?
Like getting moved into the house.
Entertainment.
Or,
they told.
Or telling on other black people.
Or telling on other black people.
Or beating somebody the hell down.
Or yeah, basically, that's what the same thing we have today. They just get paid a little more, right? They get a house, instead of being in the big house, they get a mansion. Instead of getting to ride on a horse, they get a Lamborghini or Ferrari. But it's still the same kind of game. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it was mentioned before though, like regardless, when we spend our money, ultimately it's benefiting some white man.
It's always benefiting somebody else aside from us.
Like we can't say that we have anything where we solely benefit.
No.
Not one.
Hip hop could have been it, but it's not it.
Like, not one. Even when it comes to these big labels, they got
subsets,
they got distribution deals with, because there is no black distribution.
Because we can't bother to find out how to distribute, right? We can't
so
bother.
They tell you to go indie, right? Yeah. They tell you to go indie, and there's still it's pitfalls with that. It's like, oh, I'm making an end run around.
The thing is that bothering to learn the business taking the time to learn the business, right? So this is where, we're at. I think this was most definitely a good conversation. This is the first of, this is the first part of like a 3-part series. Maybe we'll go 4, we'll see. But this is because this is a good start, you know what I mean, in regards to like, the ideas that is flowing. I think that, you guys most definitely, provided a very good insight, which is needed because there's a lot of people talking, man. And a lot of people should not be talking. If you're not educated, black people, listen, please. And I mean this with all due respect. Educate yourself, man. Stop listening to what CNN tells you or Fox News. Stop getting baited into Republican, Democrat, and liberal, conservative, and all these other little nothing debates that don't empower us as people.
Jay, I'm sorry. Let me interject on you right there, right? You're making a great point, and I've been reading this a lot, okay? And I see a lot of people saying, and you're saying it too, educate yourselves, et cetera, et cetera. When I had my podcast, I used to call myself Marlo, the realist, right? Mm-hmm. I really don't like to look at things from an ideal perspective. It would be ideal for everyone to go and educate themselves, but however, I know it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So what I would say is to the people who have the knowledge, when you see someone say something or post something that you know is off the beaten path, respectfully reach out.
Yeah.
Make it so people need to educate themselves, and we also need to teach our people. So you being someone that has a ton of knowledge, Kenny being someone that has a ton of knowledge, Deshaun being someone that has a ton of knowledge. You see somebody saying or going about things the wrong way, we got to learn how to have these destructive conversations respectfully and bring people around and help them learn and grow and change their mindset, because the majority, 98% of the people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know some. I don't even know that much. There's still so much more to learn, and there are people who are far worse than I am. So instead of telling people to go and research and find the answers, now we got to stop doing that.
I believe that's true.
If you have the answers, share them with somebody, and it could be you share them with a close friend. Say you shared it with Tamar. Now Tamar tells his wife or his girl. She tells her. You know what I'm saying? We need to start playing a good game of telephone. A good one though. We need a phone with good reception.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need to start playing that game and teaching each other, opposed to And there's a lot of people that do this, and not accusing anyone here of doing it, but a lot of people who are empowered and knowledgeable of the Black plight and our history and what we should do and what we need to do. Though a lot of those people look their nose down on the people who don't have that knowledge, and we need to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
If they start sharing that and teaching that, right, and getting that word out, but in a way where people don't feel belittled, or I get it, listen. Everyone learns differently. You have a kid on your team that you go bark on, and he'll go out and score 20. Another kid on your team you bark on, he'll go sulk at the end of the bench, and you will never get anything out of him.
Yeah.
Cater to your audience.
You
got to start doing that.
Yeah. Nah, I believe that. Deshaun, you got something to say you want to end off with?
We lost Deshaun. Deshaun, you on mute? Unmute your thing.
Nah, I'm here. My fault. The button wasn't working for some weird reason. I'm pressing it, and I'm like, why is this on mute?
Deshaun, you got it at the buzzer, bro.
Right? Nah, listen, man. To Jay's point, I think this is a start. I think Marlo also emphasizes too. Conversation has to happen, and not just conversation, but like knowledge has to be shared. We can't expect everyone to have access to the same mentors we may have had in our lives, to the same education we may have had in our lives, to the same friendships and networks we may have had. All of us have walked on different paths, So it's like it's not always as accessible, though we do want people to research and learn and things like that. But at the same time, if we have information, that's the key, These other cultures are not withholding information from one another.
Yeah.
They are sharing when they get tips on stocks, tips on investment. Listen, if I get a tip on something that I'm investing in or something that I think I'm going to put my money towards, first thing I'm doing, I've been hitting my family chat. Like, go buy some gold. Go buy some silver. Invest in the gold market. Invest in this. That's what I'm doing. I'm hitting my family chat, telling them, go do it. They listen to me, cool. They don't listen to me,
that's on
cool.
them.
But at least I'm sharing that information. We got to start with dialogue. We got to start with accessibility to information and build from there. You know what I mean? Get creators and curators that can build from there. That's where it's gonna start, yo. Because otherwise, ain't nobody else gonna give it to us. We gotta go take it, and we gotta share it with each other to build up each other and keep our message clear and synthesized and undefiled with each other about what our communities need.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree, bro. I agree.
We can't be convoluting other issues. We can't be convoluting other matters. We can't be convoluting other people's
Enough of that.
strides. Right. We gotta. We are the ones that were brought here, and it's like, yo, we constantly are fighting with everybody else. And it's like, yo, they're climbing the ladder, and other groups and marginalized groups are climbing the ladder, and Black people still sitting by, like, being forgiving and loving. And it's like, yo, wake up, man, and do this for ourselves until we see change. Keep our foot on the gas. We have good momentum, but it's not enough. We got to keep our foot on the gas.
Kenny, you got something you want to close out with?
Well, I am glad that we were able to have this conversation like this. I feel like we do have some actionable steps, and I think that's really the thing that we're missing. And when somebody starts to present some kind of actionable steps, it's never simple enough for people to actually just go out here and do something. So starting with not hiding how you did something, not hiding how you became successful is the first step to education. It means I'm successful, and I will show you how I did it. And honestly, that's the first step. Someone's already done it. Share the blueprint. Beyond that, we have to empower each other in order to go out here and not seek this American dream that's just been always so fake for people. Go to work, get promotions, get raises, and that's success. Owning businesses and real estate is how this economy moves, and we don't teach our kids that at all. They know there are options now, besides going to college. They know there are a few other options, but when it comes to success and how we can move as a group, we're not teaching our young ones enough. And there are too many people who are old or old-ish that don't know. So yes, we have to make sure that we're instilling all of these different values that we're talking about in our communities, and then start to actually act on them. So we share it and say, well, what are you going to do with this information? And I honestly do believe if we made a community sort of like a sample set, that it would be something that it would be real evidence that, listen, this is not bullshit. We're behind the ball, and we always have been, in order to create value so that we do actually matter. Here's how we do it, and bet on ourselves. And we don't do enough of it.
Most definitely. Appreciate y'all fellas, man. Thank y'all for being on here. This is just a start, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, man, we'll be back here, but appreciate y'all listeners, man. Like I said, go back and listen to all the previous episodes, get you a good dose of that. And, Black empowerment for 2020, man. Black first. This is what we about, man, and I appreciate y'all fellas being on here, and we'll be back soon. God bless.
Peace.
Peace, man.